14.2 Designing Exercise Programs, Client 2. Here is evidence of my client consultation as I am showing parts of my physical active readiness questionnaire and lifestyle questionnaire. Here is my client's profile, and here are my client's targets. Within 3 weeks, they want to be doing more physical activity and want to join a sports club, and within 6 weeks, they want to have lowered their blood pressure and be continuing with a sports club. For the first week of the training program to lower blood pressure and become more active in their lifestyle, I've prescribed my client to add functional exercise into their working week, as to start off slowly and gradually building up the intensity and frequency of exercise in the weeks. By adding functional exercise to their weeks, it does not take away any of their free time that they would normally have, and is also a good way to start keeping fit. I have decided to get my client to cycle to the station where they get the train, and from there walk to work. As before, they would drive to the station and then get a cab from the station to work. This exercise introduction is happening 3 times a week and will help in the action of lowering blood pressure of the client, as well as staying more active, as they will be exercising more than before. I have also added a netball club for 1 hour on a Sunday. This is because in the questionnaire they said they would like to join a club, and that they had also previously enjoyed playing netball when they were younger, so I thought it would be a good start to keep them involved in activity, as they wouldn't have to learn a whole new sport, but rather return to one they previously played and enjoyed. This is the entirety of the first week of the program, and will progress the intensity throughout. By adding the netball club and the functional exercise in for one, increases the amount of physical activity my client will be doing, which is one of their main goals, as well as general exercise, which will help to lower the blood pressure in the body. So the additional amount of exercise will start the process of lowering. I have also on Saturday added to perform breathing exercises before bed. This is because in the questionnaire they state they do not achieve much sleep, so this would be a way of trying to get more sleep. By testing out on the weekend, they also have no commitments to make, so they can properly try, and if it doesn't work, they have the whole of Sunday to rest. Netball club will start with a warm-up. This will be a pulse raiser of passing and moving using the netballs for a minute, and then we'll move on to dynamic stretches of the pectorals, biceps, triceps, quadriceps, hamstrings, gluteus maximus, gastrocnemius, tibialis anterior, as these are all muscles used during the game of netball, and injuring one of them during the first week of the program would have a negative effect on the progress of the client, so the warm-up is very important. The main session will involve learning and practicing 2 drills. These can be defensive or attacking drills, and will end the session off with a game, and then a cool-down will take place. This will start with a pulse lowerer, which will be jogging the length of the netball court twice, and then walking it twice. This will then be followed by static stretching of these muscles: pectorals, biceps, triceps, quadriceps, hamstrings, gluteus maximus, gastrocnemius, and tibialis anterior. This club is weekly and the same session plan each week, and the session plan will stay the same each week with alternating drills. For week 2, I have added 2 things to the week. The first is breathing exercises to help with sleeping. However, if my client says they are not helping, they do not have to be performed, as I do not want them to feel like they're wasting their time. The next thing I've added to my client's week 2 is a 2-kilometre jog to be performed at 13 RPE. By doing this, it keeps the intensity from being maximal, which could be dangerous with their high blood pressure, but also sets the bar to a level where they still need to be working at a decent rate. The 2-kilometre jog will start with a warm-up of dynamic stretching of the legs, quadriceps, hamstrings, gastrocnemius, gluteus maximus, tibialis anterior, and perform lunges whilst rotating the trunk of the body, as to mimic the body moving while running. Then the jog will begin, and the cool-down will start straight after the 2-kilometre mark is hit, with the client slowing down to a slower jog, then a fast walk, and into a walk, eventually to a stop. This will help with lowering the pulse in their cool-down. Then the legs will be static stretched out again, being the same muscles that were warmed up. This will help get rid of any built-up waste product that has occurred during the exercise. This exercise will also improve their aerobic energy system, and adding a 2-kilometre jog to the week ups the intensity and frequency of their exercise from the first week. After the 2 kilometre run, there is the netball session on the next day, on Sunday, which is the same as the first week and is an hour long. The same amount of functional exercise has been included, as it helps keep the physical activity levels up. This also allows for the lowering of the client's blood pressure as more physical activity performed each week previous to the program. For week 3 of my Client 2 training program, I have increased the intensity of the program slightly as to keep the progression of lowering the blood pressure and increasing the physical activity levels. I've done this by adding functional exercise to each weekday to commute to and from work. The reason for this is it is increasing the intensity of the work as it adds continuous training to 5 days of the week and will aid in the lowering of blood pressure. The next way I've increased the intensity of the workout program is by adding 45 minutes of low-intensity interval sessions. This can be performed in the office as it's only 45 minutes long and can be done in an office space in a lunch break or if taking a break from work. This is to be done, however, at half the rate of the instructions as to keep it from becoming too high intensity, as it would affect their blood pressure in a negative way and cause medical issues. The exercise to be completed is a warm-up. As it's in an office, the pulse raiser will be jogging on the spot and moving forwards and backwards. This will then be followed by dynamic stretching of the legs and upper body, with the muscles being stretched, the biceps, triceps, pectorals, abdominals, quadriceps, hamstrings, gluteus maximus, gastrocnemius, and tibialis anterior in preparation for the workout. The main session will include squats for 1 minute, rest for a minute, side step and touch the feet for a minute and then rest for a minute, 3-point balance for a minute and rest for a minute, burpees for a minute and rest for a minute, sit-ups for a minute and rest for a minute, and then this circuit will be repeated 5 times. Follow this up with a cool down. This will be walking on the spot for 2 minutes until breathing rate is back to normal, and then stretching out what was stretched in the warm-up, however using static stretches instead of dynamic. So that's the biceps, triceps, pectorals, abs, quads, hamstrings, glutes, gastrocnemius, and tibialis anterior. This low-intensity interval training will be a big use for my client in their aim to lower their blood pressure, and ways of doing so are through regular exercise, so adding more exercise into their everyday routine will help lower this. It also increases the frequency of the exercise that occurs in their life, as well as which adds to the progressive overload that will be happening to their body to make them stronger and capable of taking on more exercise in duration and intensity. It will also help increase their aerobic energy system. On the Saturday of the 3rd week of the program, there will be 2 things booked into place. One of the activities is a 2 kilometre swim to be completed at 15 RPE, as to up the intensity from the previous 2 kilometre event. By doing this, it allows for the participant to be doing more intense exercise. It also allows for the body to become more efficient in the way that it works during exercise, which will lead to the improving client's health for life. The swim will start off with a warm-up of treading water for 20 seconds and a light swim for 5 metres, and then tread water again for 2 minutes. Then performing arm, back and leg stretches, as they will be the muscles used in the exercise. The muscles to be stretched are the deltoids, biceps, triceps, quads, hamstrings, gastrocnemius, and the glutes. Then the main session of the swim at a constant pace will be held, and in the cool down, this will begin with a gentle swim for 2 lengths of the pool, followed by static stretching of the muscles warmed up. The session aim is to continue the amount of physical activity that my client is doing, as their aim is to increase their level of physical activity. However, before this, there will be a test of my client's blood pressure to see if it has lowered to a more stable pressure rather than being high/pre-high. I will do this by using a blood pressure monitor and recording their pressure, and doing it twice just in case there is a misreading for the first or they are nervous. This will show me if the program is working to lower my client's blood pressure. Their other targets have been met as well, as they have joined a netball club and are currently doing physical activity every day, which is more than they were doing beforehand, so those levels have gone up too. The final session of the week is the netball club, which again is the same as the previous weeks.